Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what has happened to the stock, what we can expect moving forward, and all of that good stuff. So ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, updates, etc., well, I do share my thoughts with my members every single day the market is open. Link is down below. For just $3 a month, you get access to, mainly Tesla stock in the first tier. Sometimes, other stocks where I see opportunities, like recently Amazon, Google, AMD AMD's potentially trying to bottom out here. It's not there yet, but man, it's getting damn close. It's either this is it. This AMD right here is do or die, man. It's either about to actually bottom out here and it's time to fully reverse, or this is printing a significant top. It's pretty much right there. So let's see how that plays out. But nonetheless, $5 a month is a second tier, which gives you access to the first tier plus NVIDIA daily updates there as well as the market is open. If you're interested, link is below. But jumping into it, NVIDIA closing the day up about almost 2% on the day, closing at 117.5. Bit of a, bit of a blue ball kind of day, honestly. Had a nice start to it. Well, had a weak start, then had a nice closer to the end of the day, and then pretty much sold off after Powell finished talking, and pretty much ended, not anywhere too amazing, to be completely honest. There's definitely some work to do here for the bulls. Now, it's not all over by any means. I think NVIDIA still actually is bullish. Ultimately, I still think it's in the favor of the bulls here, but there is some work to do. Now, what is that work? The main chart I'll be looking at today is probably going to be the 1 hour chart. The weekly or the daily, there's not honestly too much to talk about. I mean, MACD's bullish, which is nice. RSI is above the the SMA. It's nice. It's looking okay. But there's nothing really, in my opinion, to talk about, right? We're just holding around the 117 level I've always been talking about. We're holding these levels, right? We're above the 9 EM or the 8 EM on the daily, rejecting by the 21 though. So yeah, not too much to talk about. We're kind of getting constrained. But this is where I like to zoom in a little bit more. This is where the 1 hour, in my opinion, starts giving us a bit more information as to what the hell is actually happening. So NVIDIA, I mentioned yesterday how I wanted to see it. This was the look I had yesterday, right? It looked something like this, which we ended up getting that nice little breakout, and then we pumped up. And then, of course, sold back down. Now, we got that little breakout over here, and we got that pump, which is good. And I mentioned yesterday how, I wanted NVIDIA to essentially break at least above this line before the EMAs get a chance to cross back below the 50. And we did, which is good. That is exactly what I wanted to see, and that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, bit of a blue balls over here after JPOW, but it is what it is. Instead, now what I'm looking at is, well, while the EMAs are still cross bullish, which they, very much are, which is good, I want NVIDIA to essentially play out this bull flag, right? You can argue the fact that NVIDIA is in this, decent 1 hour bull flag, right? Where you have this nice little rally from here. Yeah, I mean, it looks good. I'm trying to think of anything negative about this. It looks pretty good. Why? Also because, NVIDIA, after making these constant lower lows, lower highs, essentially, this push up did essentially create a fresh higher high, right? And you can argue that this push down here is potentially even a higher low, right? So, we are changing the script a little bit here. I still think NVIDIA looks pretty solid, right? Mainly because we broke this high from here over as well. Like, it looks pretty damn good. The EMAs are crossed to the bullish side on the 1 hour. Like, there is potential. There is still potential for NVIDIA to reach 126 to 130 by end of next week, right? That still remains my target. But now we're essentially setting up in this very large bull flag, which, like a bull flag, you would normally expect it to play out. And NVIDIA usually respects technicals. I'd be surprised if it falls down. I mean, the market would have to just sell off for whatever reason, which it could. We have jobless tomorrow. We have OPEX Friday. You never know for sure. But ultimately, NVIDIA wants to play out this bull flag. So essentially, a nice massive move up. Nice little push to the downside, push to the upside. Now we could potentially get one more push to the downside maybe early tomorrow. That is a possibility. So if that does happen, don't be surprised to see, about 116. But as long as we essentially continue holding this 116 to 117-ish range, you can easily expect a push back up even higher. Now, if we start losing 115, for instance, and we start losing this low right here on this candle back here, right? Okay, now it's like, not so good anymore. I'm not going to lie. The bulls are definitely throwing it away over here, right? They're taking what could have been very nice and they're kind of tossing it in the garbage can. So far, we're not there, and I don't expect it to. I expect this bull flag to play out like a bull flag, right? But, again, you need validation, right? So let's see how that plays out. Let's see how this overall forms. But that's kind of my main expectation right now on NVIDIA moving forward. It's a pretty simple looking situation, I think. At least I think it's a simple looking situation. Nice bull flag, nice consolidation. Again, usually bull flags, they have, 5 touch points like that, right? So in case you haven't seen what a bull flag, I guess it's more of a bull pennant as a bull flag. It's more of a bull pennant actually, now I think about it. But I mean, overall, it's the same thing. The point is pretty much the same thing. Right, nice little bull pennant. You can see several touch points, right? Whatever you want to, whichever one you want to look at, it's all the same thing, right? All the same thing. And that's essentially what we're forming right now, right? And this is what we want to see NVIDIA more or less continue to form and ultimately break out of, which again, I expect it to. Obviously things can go south, but I think the bulls definitely have their, have this one in their favor. EMAs are bullish as well. Like all these things are still looking pretty solid. The MACD in the 1 hour is close to crossing to the bullish side as well. Daily is still bullish, right? There are good signs forming here. So anyways, let's watch for that. Again, break is, don't be surprised to see 116 or like low 116s, potentially as early as tomorrow morning. That is a possibility. But from there, I think it'll be pretty solid. I think it's not financial advice. It's a buy the dip situation. As long as we essentially hold above 115, or if you want to be a little bit more lenient, I guess, if you will, with your stop loss or your exit points, 114 and a half, 114 and a half to 115. Honestly, that's kind of the range. If we start losing that, really puts into question this bull flag. But then ultimately, once we break pretty much back out above about 119 and change, we'll say, that's when this bull flag should really start to play out. And that's when we should most likely make our way higher. And again, you can usually measure bull flags with the, at the breakout. Let's say it happens somewhere around here. You can see, this takes us all the way to 135. I don't think we'll go to 135. I think we'll go a little bit less than that. But nonetheless, at the very least, I would expect NVIDIA to, come up to about the 50 EMA over here on the daily, which would be at about 126. Best case scenario is closer to the top of this channel over here, which if the markets continue to rally, let's say for the next, starting next week or maybe this Friday or even tomorrow, who knows? I would expect NVIDIA at the very least, or rather best case scenario, to make its way up to about $130 per share. So one of these two is my main targets, up here or up here. I don't know which one, but one of those two I expect NVIDIA to hit. Obviously, if things really go well and the market really starts to U-turn, SPY starts to U-turn, like everything starts to rally and we're going to fresh all-time highs, well, obviously NVIDIA you would expect to follow suit. But that only starts to work out if we break out of this channel. So we would need essentially to break out like this and then make our way higher. Could happen, you never know, absolutely could hapen. But you take it step by step, day by day, level by level, right? And as of right now, this is pretty much what I'm eyeballing on NVIDIA moving forward. So yeah, all in all, it's pretty much what I'm seeing. Options flow, let's take a quick look over here. NVIDIA, nice bullish flow on NVIDIA, which is nice to see. Amazon, pretty nice as well. And yeah, let's take a look at the flow throughout the day. The flow throughout the day, kind of mixed as well. Again, I think the bulls, they still have a bit of the upper hand for sure, but nonetheless, pretty mixed. Nothing substantial in one way or the other, but yeah. Let's see how tomorrow opens. Let's see how the jobless data comes in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's watch this 1 hour bull flag play out, or pennant, whatever, same thing. Ultimately, I always get the two confused, but ultimately the same thing. And yeah, and the last thing we should talk about quickly before we end off the video, I should say, of course, is going to be this weekly. Now the weekly is same idea as usual. I want to see the weekly. The best case scenario, like if the bulls really want to start getting control of of NVIDIA and really start pushing higher, they want to start closing essentially above last week's close and high, which is about the same thing, which is at about 121 and a half, 122, something like that, right? Because that would further validate this, bullish piercing candle we printed last week, right? With a green weekly closure this week, that would be very, very nice to see. Whether we get that or not is a different story, but at the very least, I want to see NVIDIA essentially continue holding this kind of 117 and a half-ish range, which is pretty much where we closed today, right? I want to see it continue holding that. I want to see it continue closing above the 50 EMA and arguably just as or more importantly, essentially above this wedge. Again, if things really go well, if the market really starts turning bullish, if the market really starts doing its thing and things start going phenomenally, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, technically speaking, the next target would be to the upper end of this bullish or this rising wedge, closer to 160. Obviously, this is assuming the market rallies to all-time highs as well. But if it does, that's the best case scenario. But again, level by level, day by day, step by step. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.